welcome back. I'm Claire Cousins, and though all the virtual fair has finished, I did say that once a month I would upload a video, just because it's nice to keep in touch with people and share some of the creative experiences that I enjoy. Somebody did ask on the comments when I said it was the last video, they asked for nano felting and embroidery, and I'm assuming that they meant a piece that they'd spotted in one of my art pads. So please come down to my desk and I will enjoy sharing it with you. Here's one of the examples I think the lady requested saw in my album, and it's different sections of material that, because of the nano felting, has caused it to crinkle, and then I've stitched into it. So I've done a piece here in tones of oranges and almost like a lime green, and then I've got another colourway which I'll show you. And this one here is in the teals, greens and purples, and as I say, it's a mixture of different materials. So we've got like silks, we've got velvets, cuts of cotton velvet, this is a scrim or butter muslin, and as I say, because you do it on a bed of fibres of wool, the wool forces the fabric to shrink and gives these wonderful textures to then sew into. So I shall be showing you how to do the base in this part 1, and then in part 2 I'll be showing you how I then use my stitching to bring it all together. I hope you enjoy. Okay, here's all the fabric I've selected. So I've got a right mix of materials, from silk, cotton, hand-dyed mix to silk, more silk. I've got some butter muslin that's been hand-dyed. I've got some cleaning cloths that have been dyed, some more sort of sari material. I've got organzas, I've got a crystal organza, I've got a two-tone organza, some more hand-dyed butter muslin. I've also got some cotton velvet, and I've also got some silk velvet. The next stage is to get the bed all sorted. So the table. So what I've got on here already, I've got a towel underneath a reed mat. This is a reed mat, and I've got a towel, and I'm just going to need a layer of bubble wrap. There's my bubble wrap. The next stage is putting all my fibres down. So that's my wall tops. So I'm just going to spread my wall tops all in this direction, and I can either do these wall tops just a single colour, or I could start to blend them with other colours. So I've got some other colours here, and I might want to blend it. To be honest with you, you won't see the base much because it's going to be covered in the fabrics that's nanoed in. So it's only just in case some of the fibres, some of the fabrics pull apart, that you're going to want it. So here's some more. I'm just laying down. Okie dokie. And then you want some fibres going in the opposite direction. So at the moment all the fibres are going in this direction, and then I want a layer of fibres going in the opposite direction. Okay, I'm going to measure that now. And that seems to be 20 centimetres by 20, or 8 inches by 8, very roughly, just tucking in my edges. I've measured it so you can see once it's shrunk down how much it does shrink down by. I've now got my bits of material that I like, and I've cut them into pieces, and I'm going to lay them on. I've got a bit of silk going on there. I've got silk velvet, that is. I've got a bit of sari. At the moment I'm just placing them down where I think I'd like them. Might well move them around later. A bit more silk, a bit of velvet, like that there. I'm trying to mix the textures and the colours a little bit to make it more interesting. You'll notice I'm definitely making sure that they're overlapping. Might be able to move bits about because of the colour balance. That over a bit. Okie dokie. Right. This is the stage where you could fiddle for hours just trying to get to colour balance and texture balance. I'm not sure if I like the fact I've got two velvets on this side. I might move that one. I do like that one there. I'm not sure the brown works there, but hang on, let me just take. As I said, this is definitely a stage at which you end up moving bits until you're really happy with the colour and texture balance. Sometimes I find that squinting at it, you can see the tonal changes better. I can see that's quite dark there, but it's where the organzas are, is where you actually will see the wool poking through. So it might be that I can actually tuck in some light fibres in there, and that might help to lighten it. There we go. Okay, I'm now ready to go and get the hot soapy water, and I'll show you the next stage. Okay, I've got hot soapy water now. It's just washing up liquid. I'm using my tablespoon just to dribble it on. You can buy spray bottles and spray it on. This is to stop it moving too quickly. Sometimes it can, if you pour water on it too quickly, it scoots around. So just enough water to get it wet. What I quite like about a spoon is you can just use it, because I actually did use a hot boiling kettle water. Okay. And then you put the top on, so it's the bubble wrap, bubble side down. So you've got the bubble side up here, bubble side down here. And then we're just going to massage it. And initially I keep my hands quite flat in the initial massage. And just gently do that. what should be happening is the wool fibres are not only matting to themselves, but hopefully, fingers crossed, they are getting entangled into the fibres of the fabric on the top. And that is what you're relying on. And then as the wool shrinks, the fabric on top doesn't shrink, and you end up with the beautiful textures on top. Just moving it around. Now this is the bit that takes quite a while, so what I'll do, I'll keep at this for a good 5 minutes or so, and I'll come back and I'll show you how we're doing. Right, I haven't done 5 minutes yet, I've only actually done 2 minutes, but already you can see that the wool fibre underneath is beginning to felt. The fibres themselves, or the fabric on the top itself, is beginning to wrinkle, so that's a good sign. And I can actually lift it up, so I can lift it up. It's still very delicate, so I probably wouldn't flip it. If I'm going to flip it, I'd flip it inside the bubble wrap itself, but it's definitely beginning to work. It's not worked yet on the cotton velvet, so that's quite a good sign. It doesn't seem to be yet getting into this organza, or is it? We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep massaging it, and you'll notice that I'm getting more and more aggressive in my massaging. And I can turn it over and work the other side in the bubble wrap. What I can then do, which is why I have the reed mat on the desk, is I can roll it up in the reed mat. So I'm going to do that now. I just need to move the camera a little bit. So I'm going to leave it in the bubble wrap, but just roll it up. In the reed mat. You'll notice there's all, that's why you don't put too much water on, because otherwise you end up with a bit of a gooey mess on your desk. I'm just going to sit and rock. And again, I mean, what you can do is people have tied tights or elastic bands on here, but to be honest with you, you don't need to. You can just, it will roll quite happily like this. Now this particular reed mat is actually just a placemat, because I'm doing a small piece. If you're going to do bigger pieces, much bigger pieces, you get beach mats, buy them at the beach. If you're going to do even huge pieces, I've been known to use a reed blind. So I've not done that very long, but let me just show you how it's looking just in that short period of time. Let's have a look. Yeah, starting to mash in. You can check it by lifting it. If it lifts off, then you know it's not there yet, or if it's an overlapped piece. If it's an edge piece, that has definitely meshed in already. So that's just only a few minutes. So the more you do this stage, the better your wrinkles are going to be, the better your texture. So I'm going to carry on and I'll come back. Right, I've been rolling it for some time this way. And what I'm going to recommend is, if you want an even shrink, then you need to unroll it and pop it in the other direction, and then carry on in the same vein as before for roughly about the same amount of time as well. And I would do this, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, keep swapping directions, swapping back, swapping directions, swapping back, and keep it in the bubble wrap at this stage. If you take it out of the bubble wrap too soon and do it directly in the reed, what can happen is the fibres can stick to the reed. So I'm going to keep it in the bubble wrap for a little bit. Let's have a look, see now. Oh, it's really, you can feel the difference. It's much more stable now. You can really pick it up without worrying. Hasn't really got enough for me yet, hasn't got enough texture, but it's about at the point where if I can pick it up, I'm happy to put it directly in the reed mat now. So I think I'll go that way. And I'll keep doing this until I'm happy with the amount of shrink. Right, I've got to the point now that I've actually started to roll the towel into it because it gives me better grip and a better roll. I find my hands slip on the reed, so there's a good tip for you. If you find that you are having that difficulty, use the towel. And I'm getting really a good strong roll on this now. And I've been doing that for some time. So let's have a look. And I have been turning it in different directions. I've got such a good roll on it, it's actually starting to stick. That's interesting because it means the fibres have come through the fabric, because it's actually sticking fabric side to the reed. So that's good. Yeah, that. It's looking promising. I'm going to do some more because I think that could be a bit better. You'll notice how much it's distorted in shape. It's no longer, if I'll measure it, it's no longer 20 by 20 or 80 by 8 by 8. So it's still 8 that way, or 20 that way. But it's definitely shrunk this way, 14. That might be because of the way I put the fabric down. It might have been the way that I've actually felted one direction more than the other. I'm going to carry on a bit longer. I've been rolling it for quite some time and it has shrunk considerably. I can see there is some textures going on here. I'm not too sure if there's textures in the cotton yet, and I'm not sure there. What I'm going to do now is what's called shocking the fibres, and you do that by running it under a very hot tap and then very, very cold tap, and that the wool fibres will be shocked into shrinking, and the fibres on the top will remain and they'll pucker. So I'm going to run it under the hot and cold tap, and then I shall show you when I come back. Okay, I'm back from running it under the tap. It's still very wet, and you can see that the wrinkles really appear beautifully in some of the fabrics. The only thing I will say is this cotton hasn't, oh, it has caught. This organza here hasn't really held, so that would be where I put some stitches to hold that down. For some strange reason that's lifted. I think the silk, those two obviously didn't like being next to each other, so that's definitely somewhere where I'd actually do a lot of stitching to hold that down, but that's still wet. So when that's dry, it'll be interesting to see how that looks. And when I was washing it under the hot and cold tap, I was really rough with it. I was squeezing it, I was rubbing it, you know, I was really treating it as if it was a dirty cloth and banging it into the edge of the sink to continue the shocking process. The rougher you are with it, make sure, as I say, but you need to make sure these are definitely held in place, because if you're too rough they will lift off. They need to be made sure that they're felted really well before you do the washing process of rinsing. And if you have a look at it now, let me just take that away. What I'll do, I'll measure it now and you'll see it's a little bit more. I mean, you can give it a tug, but you know, the more you tug it, the more you pull your wrinkles out. It's come up to 6, so it was 8, so you can see how much it's shrunk. That way it's gone down to 5.5. If I do it this way, it was 20 centimetres, it's now gone down to 15, and this way it's gone down to 14. So it has shrunk a lot, yeah, considerably. So if you've got a specific size in mind you want this to be, then be aware that, as I say, it shrinks considerably, and it doesn't shrink it, well, in my case it hasn't shrunk evenly. So I'm going to, when this is dry, I'm going to show you some of my stitches that I like to add into it, to add additional textures. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.